everyone, my name is Aarti and you're watching SW News. Mahatma Gandhi and Veer Savarkar are the two personalities from history who still find relevance in India's political battle even today. While the BJP and its leaders claim to follow the ideology of Gandhi, on the other hand, their supporters are often seen praising Gandhi's killers. Congress, meanwhile, has openly made a statement against Savarkar, including Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, who has in the past spoken about Savarkar's mercy petitions. The mercy petitions written by Savarkar to the British during his stay in the jail have been highly contested. The Congress cites it questioning the patriotism of Savarkar, whereas BJP counters this view. Time and again, the debate around this issue keeps cropping up in the news. In the latest, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has stoked a fresh controversy. In a sensational claim, the senior leader of the BJP and Union Minister claimed that it was in fact Mahatma Gandhi who asked Savarkar to file mercy petitions. This statement has now evoked a sharp reaction from various sections of society, and people are also questioning whether the claim has any factual or historical basis. So let us understand this issue and let us talk about whether it was in fact Gandhi who had asked Savarkar to write mercy petitions. But before that, if you're watching this video on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to our channel, you like this video, and if you like the videos that we make, please give us a super thanks. And if you're watching this video on Facebook, please do like our page and share this video to as many people as possible. On Tuesday, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh attended a launch of a book on Savarkar at Ambedkar International Centre. The book, named Veer Savarkar, the man who could have prevented partition, has been authored by Uday Mahurkar and Chirayu Pandit. Speaking at the event, Rajnath Singh suggested that Hindutva icon Veer Savarkar filed a mercy petition with the British during his incarceration in Andaman jail on a suggestion from Mahatma Gandhi. Rajnath Singh said, and I quote, "A lot of falsehood was spread against Savarkar. It was repeatedly said that he filed multiple mercy petitions before the British government. The truth is, he did not file these petitions for his release. Generally, a prisoner has right to file a mercy petition. Mahatma Gandhi had asked that you file a mercy petition. It was on Gandhi's suggestion that he filed a mercy petition with the British, and Mahatma Gandhi had appealed that Savarkarji should be released. He had said, the way we are running movement for freedom peacefully, so would Savarkar." Rajnath Singh also added that Savarkar had in fact inspired people to break the shackles of slavery and agitated against untouchability among various other social issues including women's rights. However, his contribution in cultural unity of the country was ignored, and he also recounted how the hatred for him was such that when in 2003 a picture of Savarkar was being placed in the parliament, most political parties boycotted, while a plaque in his name in Andaman and Nicobar jail was removed when the government changed. Now let us hear what exactly Rajnath Singh said.
और सावरकर के खिलाफ झूठ फैलाया गया। बार बार यह बात कही गई कि उन्होंने अंग्रेजी सरकार के सामने अनेकों मर्सी पिटीशन फाइल की, लेकिन सच्चाई है कि मर्सी पिटीशन उन्होंने अपने को रिहा किए जाने के लिए नहीं फाइल की थी। सामान्यतया जो एक कैदी को एक पूरा अधिकार होता है कि मर्सी पिटीशन फाइल करना चाहे तो वह कर सकता है। महात्मा गांधी ने उन्हें कहा था कि आप मर्सी पिटीशन फाइल करो। महात्मा गांधी के कहने पर उन्होंने मर्सी पिटीशन फाइल की थी, और महात्मा गांधी ने अपनी तरफ से यह अपील की थी। उन्होंने कहा था यदि सावरकर जी को रिहा किया जाना चाहिए, जैसे हम शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से आजादी हासिल करने के लिए आंदोलन चला रहे हैं, वैसे ही सावरकर जी भी आंदोलन चलाएंगे। यह बात महात्मा गांधी जी ने कही थी, लेकिन उनको बदनाम करने के लिए इस प्रकार की कोशिश की जाती है कि मर्सी पिटीशन फाइल की थी, उन्होंने क्षमा याचना मांगी थी, अपनी रिहाई की बात कही थी। यह सब सारी बातें बेबुनियाद और गलत हैं।
Now, needless to say, Rajnath Singh's statement led to a lot of furore, with several Congress leaders and historians countering this. Many historians called it another attempt by the BJP to misrepresent the history. Some others defended him. Historian Irfan Habib took a swipe at the minister and said that at least it is accepted now that Savarkar did write mercy petitions. Mocking Rajnath Singh, he tweeted, and I quote, "Monochromatic history writing is really changing, led by the minister who claims Gandhi asked Savarkar to write mercy petitions. At least it is accepted now that he did write. No documentary evidence is needed when the minister makes a claim. A new history for new India." Meanwhile, another historian and writer, Purushottam Agrawal, also compared the claim with the one that suggests that Savarkar advised Subhash Chandra Bose to form Azad Hind Fauj. Agrawal said that the claim of Savarkar becoming an apologist at the behest of Gandhiji is new. The old one has been going on, that Subhash Chandra Bose formed the Azad Hind Fauj on the advice of Savarkar. He asked, the funny thing is that Bose formed brigades in the name of Gandhi, Nehru, Maulana Azad and not Savarkar. Bose must not have been so ungrateful. What's the matter? Unquote. This is what Agrawal asked. However, Vikram Sampath, historian and biographer of Savarkar, descended in Rajnath Singh's defense. Sampath said that the historians attacking Rajnath Singh is needless brouhaha. He also referred to instances in his book on Veer Savarkar that said that Mahatma Gandhi did in fact advise Savarkar brothers to file a petition in 1920 and even made a case for his release through an essay in Young India on 26th of May 1920. Sampath said that collective works of Mahatma Gandhi preserved by the Sevagram Ashram website was his source for this information. Now, Rajnath Singh's statement also created a ripple among opposition leaders. Senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh, tweeting the same letter from Gandhi to Savarkar's brother in 1920, said that Rajnath Singh gave twist to what Gandhi wrote. He said, and I quote, Rajnath Singh is among the few sober and dignified voices in Modi Sarkar, but he doesn't seem to be free of RSS habit of rewriting history. Meanwhile, CPIM, in a tweet condemning the statement, said that Gandhiji was jailed 11 times in his lifetime and not even once he asked for mercy. Why would he ask Savarkar to write mercy petition? This is a blatant lie and an attempt to erase history. So is there any truth to what Rajnath Singh said? That is what we will discuss today. So well, here is what we know from history. In 1909, Veer Vinayak Savarkar was arrested in Britain for organizing armed revolts against the British government for the newly introduced Morley Minto reforms. This act of the Parliament of the United Kingdom brought about a limited increase in the involvement of Indians in the governance of British India. The act also introduced elections to legislative councils and admitted Indians to councils of the Indian Secretary, the Viceroy, and to the executive councils of Bombay and Madras states. However, the act also raised red flags as Muslims were granted separate electorate. Indian nationalists considered the reforms another ploy to divide the two communities among them, and Hindus resented the introduction of separate Muslim electorate. On 21st of December 1909, Magistrate of Nashik District for British India, A.M.T. Jackson, was shot dead by the Abhinav Bharat Society. Abhinav Bharat Society was a freedom fighters group formed by Savarkar. Subsequently, he was arrested for conspiring to murder the Nashik collector. There was another charge of waging a conspiracy under Indian Penal Code of 121A against the King Emperor. Following the two trials, Savarkar, then aged 28, was convicted and he was then sentenced to double life imprisonment, which is 50 years of imprisonment, and transported on 4th of July 1911 to the infamous cellular jail in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. He was considered by the British government as a political prisoner. The prison conditions at Andaman were horrible. The prisoners were subjected to worst kind of torture and were forced to live in inhuman condition. In his article for the Frontline, lawyer and political commentator A.G. Nurani lists the number of times Savarkar wrote mercy petitions from Andaman jail. First, Savarkar was lodged in the cellular jail on July 4, 1911. Within 6 months, he submitted a mercy petition. However, the petition was rejected. Second, in October 1913, the Home Member of the Viceroy's Executive Council, Sir Reginald Craddock, visited the jail and met Savarkar among others. His note of November 23, 1913 recorded Savarkar's pleas for mercy. Savarkar had submitted his second mercy petition on November 14, 1913. It wrote, and I quote, "I'm ready to work with government in any capacity they like. Where else can the prodigal son of return but to the parental doors of the government?" Third, on March 22, 1920, a Savarkar supporter, G.S. Khoparde, tabled questions in the Imperial Legislative Council, one of which read, and I quote, Is it not a fact that Mr. Savarkar and his brother had once in 1915 and at another time in 1918 submitted petitions to government stating that they would, during the continuance of war, serve the empire by enlisting in the army if released, and would, after the passing of the Reforms Bill, try to make the act a success and would stand by the law and order? The Home Member Sir William Vincent replied, and I quote, "Two petitions were received from Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, one in 1914 and another in 1917 through the Superintendent of Port Blair. In the former, he also offered his services to government during the war in any capacity and prayed that a general amnesty be granted to all political prisoners. The second petition was confined to the latter proposal." According to historical records, Mahatma Gandhi arrived in India on January 9, 1915. That means Savarkar had written 2 mercy petitions before Gandhi even arrived in India. However, there were some other exchanges from Mahatma Gandhi to Savarkar's brother on mercy petition. The details of the same are available in collected works of Mahatma Gandhi published by Gandhi Ashram Sevagram. Relevant portions could also be seen in volume 19 and 20. Page number 348 of volume 19 has the details of the exchange between Mahatma Gandhi and V.D. Savarkar's brother. It contains Mahatma Gandhi's reply to a letter written by Savarkar's brother. In the letter, N.D. Savarkar apprises Gandhi of the inhuman prison conditions and how that has impacted the Savarkar brothers' health. He also seeks Gandhi's intervention to shift them to Indian jails with suitable atmosphere. A week later, on January 25, 1920, Mahatma Gandhi wrote back to Savarkar from Lahore. He wrote, and I quote, "Dear Dr. Savarkar, I have your letter. It is difficult to advise you. I suggest, however, your framing a brief petition setting forth the facts of the case, bringing out in clear relief the fact that the offence committed by your brother was purely political. I suggest this in order that it would be possible to concentrate public attention on the case. Meanwhile, as I have said to you in an earlier letter, I am moving in the matter in my own way. Yours sincerely." Now, 4 months later, on May 26, 1920, Mahatma Gandhi wrote a detailed argument for the release of Savarkar brothers in Young India. Mahatma Gandhi titled his article as Savarkar Brothers. In the article, Mahatma Gandhi quoted a royal proclamation by the British Emperor saying a new era is opening to build a case for clemency to political offenders in the fullest measure. From all this, one can understand that to say that Savarkar wrote mercy petitions on Gandhi's advice may not be completely true, since Savarkar had already written mercy petitions even before Gandhi arrived in India. But there is enough evidence to also suggest that Gandhi did write in favor of Savarkar brothers' clemency petition. Now, if we talk about today's statement by Rajnath Singh, then I would say senior leaders, especially those sitting in important positions in the cabinet, should make sure that claims they are making are absolutely true, especially if it is related to history. Apart from the controversy, it is my opinion that pitting two historic figures against each other does not serve any purpose in the present political climate, except for giving a much-needed detour to divert attention from real-world issues of today. Yes, it is important to discuss the nature of the work of Gandhi and Savarkar as well to understand the history, but not to politicize it. There can be difference of views, difference of opinions on the works and methods of both, but there can be a civilized debate and academic discussion on that. Do let us know what you think about this in the comment box below. For more news and updates, you can log on to www.hwnews.in. Before I end this video, to continue the kind of work that we are doing currently, we required your support. And how can you support us? Please do go to our website, click on the support on the topmost toolbar, and you can choose the subscription plan that you want to take up. Please pay us and support us. Thank you so much.